أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى أهله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. You guys, I am so fired up, so excited, because tonight we're starting a brand new series, a brand new journey where you and I get to learn prophetic manners. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, why manners? Because, you could be studying Arabic, could be studying tafsir, could be studying history. That would be pretty dope. But why manners? And the reason is because our Prophet ﷺ was asked in a beautiful hadith in Tirmidhi, that, Ya Rasulullah, what's the single biggest, actually he was asked, what's the most frequent reason people enter Jannah? Well, what do you think he answered? You think he said, Tarawih, Tahajjud, Tilawa, mashallah? Those are incredible things, and I would hate to come across as dismissive. In fact, the extra credit that you do, that's how you get closer to God. But in that particular hadith, the Prophet was asked, what's the most common reason why people walk through the gates of paradise? And he said, number one on the list, taqwa. Taqwa comes over and over again, and I translate taqwa as spiritual discipline to stay away from haram, and spiritual fortitude to do the fara'id. You got those two elements, that's taqwa right there. First on the list, taqwa, and then second on the list, husnul khuluq. Beautiful, amazing mannerisms. That's how you win with God. That's how you get a dub with God. That's where it lies. Beautiful mannerisms. And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says that, man, this hadith is like so powerful, so explicit, it just blows your mind. He said, the most beloved of y'all to me, and the highest ranking on the Day of Judgment, and the highest and closest in rank to me on the Day of Judgment are who? Ahasinukum akhlaqa. Those who have the most wonderful manners, like the most winning personality, the most amazing character. That's the value of having beautiful manners in our religion. Like, I'm blown away when I read some of these hadith, and then in one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that indeed, a person can reach the same status with Allah, a person with good manners can reach the same status with Allah as the person who prays all night and fasts all day. That's dope, man. Now, Taha, I want to ask you, and also the audience, why are manners so valuable? Like, why are they being given so much weight? Have you thought of that? Like, you think, of course, other things have a lot of value in our religion, but manners are being put on a pedestal here, man.
I don't know. I feel like the biggest distinction that the Prophet ﷺ had in himself, and the reason, I guess he was so influential, was that he was just so good with people. He had that emotional intelligence. He was very respectful to people. He knew how to handle situations in different times, and that really put him ahead of everyone else.
You're saying that was this outstanding feature in him.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you guys, as your comments are coming in, once again, just like we did in Ramadan, we're going to publish comments because I love giving spotlight to our young people and their thoughts and their perspective. Inshallah, we're going to be collecting those. Our team is on standby watching for those meaty comments and those juicy comments. Inshallah, please let your reflections come rolling through. The way what I was thinking about it today, I was like, why are manners given so much importance? And one thing that kind of occurred to my mind, which I wanted to share with you all, is that I feel manners are the litmus test to show if your religiosity is actually working. And those 5 pillars and acts of worship are actually paying dividends. Because if you're not becoming more gentle, and you're not becoming more tender, and you're not becoming calmer, and you're not more composed when others try to provoke you and get under your skin, then you're going somewhere, things are going wrong. Somewhere the religious formula and the spiritual formula is not exactly working for you. It's like taking a prescription but no cure. And you got to figure out where things are going wrong. And I feel like this right here is the centrality of manners, because this is the measure of if spiritual effort is actually paying dividends for you. And you know what? There's nothing uglier, Hafiz Taha, than seeing a religious person who's rude. Someone who's pious but petty. How many of us have been yelled at by an uncle donning a kufi, man? Or how many of us have been x-rayed by an auntie and mugged by an auntie wearing a hijab? And how many people have been guilt-tripped, shamed, gaslighted in the name of deen? It's crazy. Like, the way I think about outward symbols of piety, people who are like outwardly religious, but that religiosity is not actually translating into becoming a nicer, decent human being. I feel like those people, still wearing their thobes, still wearing their kufis, and these outward symbols of religiosity, I feel like they're doing straight up religious appropriation. You know how you have cultural appropriation? Kind of like, I don't know if you saw the Democrats today, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they're all wearing a kente fabric from Ghana as they're honoring the memory of George Floyd. So they're all taking a knee for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and they have a kente fabric on. The whole social media is like lit right now. They're like, you know, this is straight up cultural appropriation. Just because you have a kente fabric on doesn't make you a person from Ghana. There's more kente fabric than a Ghana wedding. Doesn't make you black. Yeah, in the same vein, just because you got the outward symbols of religiosity down and it's not translating into akhlaq, yo, that's spiritual appropriation. And you're gonna be, just because your drip looks religious doesn't make you necessarily a religious person that Allah values. And that's why, subhanAllah, people don't realize, you guys, if you forget everything that I've shared so far, and Hafizah, feel free to share any comments that stand out to you. I see a lot of stuff is coming in. You guys, if you forget everything I said so far, please remember this. Hadith in Muwatta tells us that the Prophet ﷺ defined his mission by saying, Inni innama bu'ithtu li'utammima makarim al-akhlaq. I was sent for the very reason of refining your manners, reforming your personality, and genuinely to make you an amazing human being. That's how, you know, people, you know, I don't know if you know, and I want to actually ask the audience, do you guys know the most populous Muslim country in the world right now? Does anybody know? Hafizah, we're going to count to 5, and if they don't know, you're going to impress us with your knowledge, inshallah.
I think they'll know.
Anyway, let's see here. Oh, mashallah, here we go. I think it's Mustafa Abdul Hamid from Indonesia. Mashallah, Sister Yasmin also had it. Indonesia is the most popular Muslim country in the world. And I've shared before that historians are puzzled as to how Islam became this populous in Indonesia. Was it a Muslim Khalifa sending an army? Was there an invasion? Boots on the ground? What happened? And the most widely accepted theory is that Islam was introduced in Indonesia in the 13th century at the hands of the Muslim merchants. And when an average Indonesian saw the exemplary manners of a Muslim merchant, their honesty, their smile, the way they interacted, the way they prayed, the way they dealt with each other, yo, Islam went viral in Indonesia. Today, 225 million Muslims in Indonesia. No army ever set foot there, because our manners are the greatest da'wah for Islam or against Islam. And that's why I feel like this series is so important, man. So that's where, especially with the times we're living in, where, you know, minorities are being neglected and all the civil strife and discord, we need manners more than ever. And one of the most amazing hadith in this regard, the Prophet ﷺ said, should I not tell you about a person upon whom Allah has made the fire haram, and he has been made haram upon the fire? Like oil and water, they won't actually mix. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, of course. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Kullu hayyin layyin sahlin qalil. Every person who's easygoing, tender, gentle, and accessible to people, not an elitist sitting in his ivory tower pontificating, available to people, that person, man, he won't even come close to the fire. Any thoughts, comments, Hafizah?
There's a few actually from the comments. Someone's mentioned Surah Al-Hujurat, and it's pretty crazy. Actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the surah that we covered in Core Academy over the last few weeks. And it's really awesome because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally devotes a whole chapter in the Quran. It's almost 2 or 3 pages just talking about different ways that we can apply mannerisms into our own lives. Talking about the ayahs that we always hear about backbiting or making assumptions and stuff like that, and being good to one another. They're all within this one surah, and it's really awesome that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it shows how important it is. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala included this in the Quran. another comment that was really good was that some people avoid the masjid because like they're scared of being like judged by the elder generation. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing. And I think it's like the generation gap. And I think the elders sometimes fail to understand where we're coming from.
Yes.
It just makes it.
You know, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Heck, people don't go to MSA office. I'm not talking about any particular MSA. No shots fired here, people. Because they're like, yo, I don't want to be judged. There's that real fear of religious people just like harping down on you. So, yeah, man.
It's rough.
Sister Sana said something beautiful. You can be amazing in worship in private, but if you tear people down and don't respect others, our unity of Islam suffers and decreases. Facts. And that's at the heart of, like, I feel like your manners are your number one interface with other people. And if you don't have that, it's like your religiosity loses luster. It's like having an amazing product with a terrible packaging. That's really what ends up happening when manners are suffering. And so we Muslims, we got to catch up, man. So to learn manners in a systematic way, y'all, the thing about learning manners, Hafizah, is that it's such a vast field. Like, where do you start? I mean, do I start with my manners with my parents, my siblings, my guests, coworkers, neighbors, pets? Like, where do you start your study of manners? And to make this, once again, something organized, what we're going to do, inshallah, we're going to be studying a book known as Al-Adab Al-Mufrad by the famous Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah. The same Imam Bukhari that we all revere and praise, he wrote a separate book known as Al-Adab Al-Mufrad, which translates into individualized manners, where he brought pretty much every category of mannerisms and etiquettes you can imagine. He brought it in one, under two covers, two binders, sealed it up. He did the homework for us. All we got to do now is read, enjoy, and reflect together. So we're going to be, inshallah, doing this book together. We actually started studying this book a few months ago, and we got to hadith number 19. And all the first 45 hadith dealt with parents. And we have a YouTube channel where all those videos are recorded. What I wanted to do, given the time frame, given the audience that we have, and since we talked about parents so much, I wanted to kind of jump around. So we're going to start from chapter 10. And this chapter is called Babur Ri'aya, chapter of responsibility, individual responsibility. That's what we're going to be, inshallah, focusing on. And one of the coolest things that we're going to do is something I'm really, really happy that we do this, is that every time we're studying a hadith, and there's a companion we have not seen yet, we're going to actually take the time to study the life of that companion. And I'm a sucker for biographies, so this is where I satisfy my cravings. So we're going to go through the life of that particular companion, especially if we've not studied them yet, and we're going to see benefits. We're going to be inspired. We're going to kind of pick up our own spiritual game in the way they used to. So today, hadith number 215 is where we're starting from. This hadith comes to us from the famous companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu an as-Salami. You guys, Jabir radiyallahu an is such an amazing companion. This companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he accepted Islam as a teenager. He was well into his teens when he accepted Islam, and he's a Madani Ansari. And here's a question for you guys. Historians, they call him a Hafidh. Hafizah, you can't help, because remember you and I had that conversation. But if the audience can't figure it out, let's give it to them. You guys, when you say Hafidh, let me just tell you, we're not talking about a Hafidh of Quran. It refers to something else. Take a guess as to what a Hafidh is called in the works of biography, because it's already understood. Abda, you memorize the Quran. Like in our tradition, our scholars wouldn't even put ayah numbers because they already assume person reading their books already memorized the Quran. Yo, there are like universities in the Muslim world you can't get admission into unless you have memorized the Quran. It's so taken for granted. So, Sister Sana is like protector of hadith lineage. Very good, very good. So, Sister Sana, you pretty much have it figured out. A Hafidh is someone who used to memorize a lot of hadith. Quran was already taken for granted, understood. Hafidh is someone who memorizes a lot of hadith. Now, you guys are giving me linguistic definitions like guardian, protector, but protector of what? Protector of hadith. And Jabir radiyallahu anh is one of those companions that transmitted over 1,000 ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's in the top 5 or top 7 of those who have narrated a lot of ahadith. And because he was young, he was able to memorize a lot. Jabir radiallahu anhu, we're not going to be able to go through his entire life today. Inshallah, we're going to continue next time. One thing you want to know, both him and his father, they were both companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his father, y'all, Jabir himself tells us that I attended every major event with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam except Battle of Badr and the Battle of Uhud. Those are the two battles that I missed. Why did he miss those two battles? Was he too young? Was he not capable? No. He tells us the reason I missed those two battles because my dad told me not to attend. Now, obviously, the reason being because his dad is like, in case I die, somebody needs to take care of the family. But I just want you to appreciate it. Fighting alongside with the Prophet ﷺ, I can't imagine anything more rewarding. I mean, already dying as a shaheed is a humongous reward, but then to do that right next to the Prophet ﷺ, what a grand opportunity. And he misses out on this. Why? My dad told me. And that was enough. And now I got teenagers like DMing me. They're like, oh, Brother Ameer, I'm so sick of my dad. Like, he tells me I can't do sleepover. Like, bro, chill, man. Like, what are you whining and complaining about? And plus, if your dad is probably telling you not to do sleepovers, probably looking out for you anyways. Like, sexual abuse is a thing, man. So, may Allah protect us all. This was Jabir radiallahu anhu. His father, Abdullah ibn Amr. I'll just share with you two things about him and then we're done for the day. He died in the Battle of Uhud. And Jabir radiallahu anhu, when he found out the news, like, Jabir was broken, man. I mean, he's a teenager, and now his father passed away. So, Hadith in Tirmidhi says, then when the Prophet ﷺ met Jabir radiallahu anhu, like, the Prophet ﷺ could tell he was, like, depressed. And the Prophet ﷺ was like, Ma araka munkasiran, why do I see you down in the dumps? He says, Ya Rasulullah, my father died, leaving behind family and bills. Like, I don't know how am I going to step up to the plate and take care of this massive responsibility. So the Prophet ﷺ, to cheer him up, the Prophet ﷺ says, should I not tell you the royal reception Allah gave to your father exclusively? He says, Ya Rasulullah, what was it? The Prophet ﷺ says, Allah has never, this is unbelievable, y'all. Allah has never spoken to anyone without the veil. Because Allah has a veil, I don't know if you guys know, the veil of light. Allah has never spoken to anyone without the veil. But He spoke to your father without the veil. Kifahan, face to face. And Allah told your father, Ya ibadi, Ya abdi, my servant, tamanna alayya u'tik. Ask whatever you want, it shall be granted. So, he's already in Jannah. What does he ask for? He says, Ya Allah, look at the love for Allah, man. It's unbelievable. He says, Ya Allah, give me life once more so I can die in your path once more. So upon this, Allah says, that's off limit. Like, anything is fine, but sabaq al-qawlu minni, I've already decreed that once you leave this world, you can't go back into it. So that dua was kind of rejected, low-key. So he's like, Ya Allah, if that dua won't be given to me, then can you at least inform the people on my behalf? What an honor. What a splendor that awaits them if a person dies in his path. That's where Allah revealed the verse in Surah Ali Imran, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا. Don't you think that the people who died in Allah's path are dead. Rather, they're alive, being nourished in the presence of Allah. So this is the enormous status of father of Jabir radiallahu anhu. And last thing for us, Jabir radiallahu anhu, when his father passed away, like I said, left behind a bunch of bills. And now the creditors started to harass Jabir radiallahu anhu. It was so bad. It was getting bullied so hard that Jabir came to the Prophet radiallahu anhu and said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't know what to do. They're like harassing me day and night, and I don't know how to pay back the debt. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by the way, he asked the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, can you become my lawyer? Maybe the creditors, when they see you involved, maybe they'll take it easy on me. What? But Jabir radiallahu anhu didn't realize that his creditors were actually members of the Jewish tribe who weren't exactly big fans of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when the Prophet got involved, they became even more aggressive, or even more abrasive. So now, the day of collection, the Prophet told Jabir that take the dates, put them in a pile, and on the date of collection, I'll come myself and I'll talk with the creditors. So Jabir radiallahu anhu took dates, put them in piles, and when the Prophet arrived on the day of the collection, our Prophet went to the biggest pile made dua to Allah, and read something. And he sat right next to that date pile, and he asked Jabir, send in the creditors one at a time. And as these creditors came, the Prophet with his own hand took the dates, because that was like the big currency in Medina, and started paying off the debtors. More creditors would come. The Prophet would personally weigh and pay their creditors. Pay the creditors with his own blessed hands, until Jabir says every single creditor was paid off. He's like, I didn't even know if I had enough dates to pay off everyone. I would have been happy if everyone was just paid off. Yet, by the time everything was said and done, the piles of dates were sitting there as they were originally, and even the date pile where the Prophet was drawing from, he's like, Wallahi, an eye account, I felt if not a date was taken from it. And Allah not only took care of my creditors, but He left me spare to take care of the family. And y'all, we learned something from this. You sacrifice for Allah, Allah will make it up to you. Look how He took care of Jabir and his family, man. And Jabir, alhamdulillah, was off to a good financial start from there. Radiyallahu anhu. Any comments and thoughts?
That's just an amazing story. The story is like those ones where like the Prophet the barakah that the Prophet gets. Like I think there was the story when there was a family that invited him for food, and then he told the army to come and eat with him, and there was enough food for the whole thing. And then there's another story, he gave the bag of...
Sorry, Taha, do you know who invited the Prophet ﷺ on that meal?
I'm going to guess Jabir ibn Abdullah.
Jabir ibn Abdullah. That story is coming tomorrow. Spoiler alert. This is Jabir who invited. So we're going to talk about that, inshallah. That's amazing.
Yeah, those types of stories. I think there was another one where like Uthman radhiyallahu anhu was given a bag of dates. I don't know if it was Uthman, but maybe it was a different companion. It was a bag of dates, and he said like he kept taking out dates from it, and like it would never end. And the day that he looked in, like that's the day that it depleted. So it's just...
And that tells you unseen works when we don't try to meddle into everything and try to control everything. That element of barakah is taken the moment you start like trying to control every little element of it. Sarfraz is like, dates were a form of currency, meaning they were a medium of exchange. So a lot of times, if somebody didn't have gold and silver, they would just pay something in debts. It's kind of like in the some of the camps in Nazi Germany, cigarettes became a medium of exchange after a while because it was something of a value that became a commodity of exchange, or something of an example to home in the point. Any other thoughts and comments, you guys? Alhamdulillah, that's all what I wanted to share today, and inshallah we're going to continue this Thursday. This is going to be Sunnah Fix, so we're going to do it on Sunnah days, Monday and Thursday. We're going to study this beautiful book together. We're going to reflect on a hadith that will just melt your heart. I am so excited to share all this with y'all. And we're going to continue with the life of Jabir radiallahu anh this Thursday, inshallah. So tune in, share with your friends. Let us spread the barakah and benefit. Ask Allah to bless you all. Anything else? I think we're set for the day. All right. Alhamdulillah. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. You guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.